at 6. It's time right now to join our colleagues for the news where you are. I'll see you at 10. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Sophie. Hello, welcome to Midlands Today with me, Nick Owen. The headlines tonight. 20 of his hire cars stolen or written off in 1 year. The business owner thinking of giving up.
If it wasn't for the insurance, I don't think we'd bother ringing the police, because you get nowhere. You get nowhere.
Tony Moore says the response from Staffordshire Police has been pathetic. Also this evening, spotlight on Wolverhampton and how the charity work of the football club's helping the community. We're live at Molineux.
Ahead of Wolves versus Burnley in the Premier League, we'll be celebrating the club's charity work with the Wolves Foundation.
She saved a woodland cycle park for hundreds of enthusiastic youngsters. Now Hannah's our Unsung Sporting Hero 2023.
And a bit of blue in an ocean of grey. Far from festive this week, but after a cold snap tonight and tomorrow, it's warming up. Full details coming up later.
Good evening. The co-owner of a Staffordshire car hire company says a rampant increase in car thefts has made him consider quitting the business. Tony Moore says more than 20 vehicles have been stolen or written off in a year. Each reported incident is costing them £10,000, and he's concerned his insurance premiums will rocket. He's described the response from Staffordshire Police as pathetic. Over the past 2 years, vehicle offences reported by the police across the West Midlands region shot up by 43%. More now from our correspondent, Ben Godfrey.
Tony Moore has been in the car hire business for more than 4 decades and thought he'd seen it all. But never have thefts from his company been so prolific. He's reported around 20 cars are stolen in just a year from a Ford rent-a-car.
We're finding a lot of it, people are hiring, and then it's been taken from the hirer. Sometimes we can't say, but we don't know whether sometimes the hirer's complicit, but things go missing.
Tony has stepped up CCTV and ID checks on customers. And all vehicles are fitted with trackers, so around 1,000 vans and cars are traceable when they leave their base in Stoke or Stafford. But on each occasion, Tony says he's contacted Staffordshire Police and feels woefully let down.
If it wasn't for the insurance, I don't think we'd bother ringing the police. You get an incident number, and anybody think they'd nicked a packet of crisps? Not 25,000, or like this thing standing behind me now. That's the best part of £45,000.
In the 12 months to June this year, more than 6,000 vehicle offences were recorded by Staffordshire Police. That's a 34% increase on the year before. And the figure is 56% higher than the same period in 2021. Staffordshire Police say 3 men are facing charges in connection with 2 of the alleged thefts from Tony's business. Well, the force says it's actively been patrolling hotspot areas. They say they've been making arrests and targeting chop shops, which is where stolen vehicles could be taken to be broken up. And they do add this. They say there is lots more work to be done in this area. And they say they do recognise that it has a profound impact on businesses. Tony and his business partner say they've taken to recovering some of the vehicles themselves. One they tracked to Poland 2 days after it went missing. The Staffordshire Chambers of Commerce is delivering specialist support to victims of business crime in this region. But for Tony, next year's insurance premium could be make or break.
It will get to the stage, if it continues, we wouldn't be able to insure people. The industry needs support. It's not just us locally. There's garages having stuff stolen all the time.
Ben Godfrey, BBC Midlands Today, Stoke-on-Trent.
And if you'd like to get in touch with a story you've been affected by, we'd love to hear from you. You can contact us on email at midlandstoday@bbc.co.uk or via our social media channels. Now, this week we're highlighting all things Wolverhampton, and that includes the city's football club, Wolverhampton Wanderers. Dan Pallett is live at Molineux this evening ahead of the Premier League game against Burnley, and the club is about much more than football, isn't it, Dan?
Yes, Nick, you'd know that any sports club, it's a community and a sense of belonging. Wolverhampton Wanderers certainly understand that. That's why they've got the Wolves Foundation, the club's official charity. It's there to inspire and support people. And in recent years, they've been doing great work on mental health. Here's David Lum.
Things were difficult at work and everything just got on top of me, and you get to the point where you take so much, there's only so much can go in. And for something else to go in, something has to come out. And I hadn't quite got to the right place to be able to deal with it, which is why lockdown was extremely hard.
John twice considered taking his own life, but he heard about Head for Health, which supports adults improve their mental well-being. This walk and talk is one of the activities offered.
It's the best thing that ever happened to me, because without them, I wouldn't be in there. Something would have happened. There was no other real help available.
Head for Health is run by the Wolves Foundation, Wolverhampton Wanderers charity. David has also been through a tough time after the death of his brother and sister last year.
I couldn't get it out of my head of things that had happened in the past, things that are happening now. I wasn't looking forward to the future. I was just scared. And coming here and some other places that I've been have helped me contain my anger, really.
Grants and activities like this help fund the work. More than 100 people took part in this sleep out at Molyneux last month.
Stigma around mental health issues has always been a problem, I think, especially for men. So when Head for Health initially started, it was a male-only initiative due to increased stigma, increased suicide rates in males. Now we are open to all adults, 18 plus. But it's just creating that intervention, that opportunity for people to come and access support in light touch ways.
Head for Health has supported more than 1,000 people since it was set up 5 years ago.
Now it's difficult to talk about it, but if you do talk about it, there is help there.
Somebody talk about it, as long as you get into the right environment, and Head for Health is definitely the right environment, you're never going to be judged.
Now let's talk to someone who certainly does his bit for the community. Wolves fan Manny Kang, remind people of all the stuff you've done over the years for the community and around the city.
There's been so much involving this wonderful football club. You know, bike rides to Anfield, walked all the way to Chelsea for an away game, and something we do really special is Samosa Saturdays, where we give out samosas to fans for donations towards Dementia UK. It's been running for 5 years and it's just a wonderful community event.
And he doesn't stop there. You've got big plans for March. Tell us more about that. I think you got your flag with you today.
Yeah,
Show us
I've
that.
got my flag. So in March, we'll be walking. Me and my son will be walking all the way to Newcastle for the away game.
195 miles,
Yeah.
long way.
It's a long way. It's a bit mad, but you know the fans really get behind these causes, and I know it will create a lot of awareness, and it will get lots of fans involved. There's already fans who have messaged me and want to help in whichever way they can. So it's a big challenge for us, but we want to keep, raising as much funds for just such a brilliant cause.
For Alzheimer's again?
Yeah, for Dementia UK, you do wonderful work in all around the country. Yeah.
What motivates you to keep doing stuff like this, man?
You know what? I just think as human beings, we just got the opportunity to help others, and it's something in everybody. And whether it's walking to Newcastle or just going checking up on a neighbour, helping others is something that we need to do more. And my faith teaches me that in a natural way. So using the football club and the fans who are brilliant, they're amazing people. Most of my donations come from the fans, or the encouragement comes from the fans, so we keep going.
You must be very proud of the Wolves Foundation.
Yeah.
You must be pretty proud of the team as well at the moment.
Yeah, the foundation do wonderful work in the community, as you've heard, and the team, I think, just mirror that. It's very much a family club. The manager seems to have got a real bond going now with the fans and the staff, and long may it continue. Yeah.
The 2 home wins coming up tonight against Burnley, then Nottingham Forest on Saturday.
Yeah, hopefully. We've had a little bit of a sicky patch, but we've done well overall recently. I think we need to get something this week, but I'm fully confident that the team can do it.
Manny, thank you very much. Roll on the game.
Absolutely. Dan, thank you. And we'll have more from Wolverhampton later in the programme. A deep-seated blame culture and low levels of trust between elected members and council staff have worsened Birmingham's financial crisis, according to an independent report. The council declared itself effectively bankrupt in September after equal pay claims of up to £760 million and an £80 million overspend on an IT system. Our political editor, Rob Mayer, joins us now. Tell us more about this report then, Rob.
Makes pretty shocking reading, Nick. Confirms what sources have been telling me about poor relationships between councillors and council staff. It also says there's been a tendency to minimise bad news when things go wrong, and a lack of commitment to basic principles of probity. In other words, a lack of honesty. The leader of the council says they are working to fix things.
This is laying down a challenge for us that we need to seize and address. So absolutely, we are not shying away from the very bold and stark messages in that report. We are absolutely committed to delivering those recommendations and ensuring that we see change through this organisation that puts it in the place where we can deliver properly for the people of this city.
So that's the leader of the council promising to fix things. His Conservative opposition said today it is no wonder that the council has such problems.
When you read in a report, an independent report, remember, that the way elected members, the Cabinet, are acting is preventing officers from bringing forward vital information that needs urgent decision-making. That explains why the Cabinet has done so little over the last 10 years to protect the council and council taxpayers from these devastating financial impacts.
And what is the latest, Rob, on the state of the city's finances?
Well, they're looking to save around £200 million over the next 2 years. People are desperate for the detail of where those cuts will fall. The leader of the council promised today they will start to get that detail in the next couple of weeks.
It's clear we're going to have to make some tough choices. We are looking at having to close a gap of some £200 million. That will involve tough choices around services and spending priorities. A report is going to Cabinet next week that will set out the headlines of how we're looking to take that forward, and then there will then be a budget consultation process setting out the details of saving proposals where we'll engage with the public and other stakeholders before we set a budget at the end of February.
It's true to say, isn't it, that Birmingham's not alone in having a financial crisis. Other councils are in trouble as well, aren't they, in the region?
They are. Shropshire Council has cut £38 million but is promising even more drastic measures next year. Coventry City Council facing a funding gap of £13 million next year. That could impact things like bin collections and street lighting. They're trying to save £8 million in Stoke-on-Trent. It's a tough time in local government.
Indeed. Rob, thank you. Some sad news that has just come through this evening. The Birmingham-born musician Denny Lane has died. Denny was a founder member of the Moody Blues and Wings and co-wrote the song Mull of Kintyre with Paul McCartney. In a post on Facebook, his wife Elizabeth Hines said he passed away earlier this morning from lung disease. He was 79. The family of a woman who was found dead in Stafford last month say she'd moved to the UK to pursue her happiness and dreams. The body of 28-year-old Milica Zilic was discovered in a flat on the Wolverhampton road last Monday. She'd relocated to the UK from Serbia a year ago. A 33-year-old man arrested at the weekend has been charged with her murder. Families from the Midlands whose relatives died as a result of the NHS infected blood scandal have handed in a letter to Downing Street demanding efforts move more quickly to compensate those affected. Thousands of patients were given contaminated blood transfusions and products infected with HIV and hepatitis C in the 1970s and 80s. Last night, Rishi Sunak suffered his first defeat in the Commons on the issue as MPs backed plans to set up a new compensation scheme. Well, thanks for joining us this evening here on Midlands Today. Boy, is it perishing at the moment. I think it's colder tomorrow. Shafali with the details shortly. Also coming up, Wolves legend Steve Bull helps a school that supports autistic children celebrate their century of sporting podcasts. And the cycling mad youngsters are forever grateful why Hannah is our latest unsung sporting hero. The aid effort into Gaza is likely to become even more crucial in the weeks to come, as the United Nations say the situation could get even more hellish as the Israeli army expands its operations. Saeed Mohammed Faisal Sami is the head of the Faizan Global Relief Foundation charity based in Birmingham, and he joined us in the studio after flying in from Egypt in the early hours.
They need a big help over there, and when I was there it was very quick and a fast-paced trip as well, because we were only there for 3 days. We were in Turkey, and then we got this report that they need, especially for the winter stuff, the winter started over there. So they need the essentials to protect them from the cold and winter, and they need blankets, pillows, mattresses, women stuffs as well, and the children's like nappies and diapers as well. So we were very busy for the last 3 days in the Egypt, and just back about 1 a.m. this morning.
The World Health Organization is saying that the situation is getting worse by the hour. Every hour
That's
it's
right,
a little bit worse. How do you see it?
That's right, because they don't have any shelters, they don't have any food, they're running out of the water, and now the winter is starting as well. So definitely hour and hour is getting worse and worse.
And in Gaza itself, how successful are aid agencies at the moment in getting humanitarian help in?
They are trying their best, and like we're working with the Turkey official governments as well, their department, and the Egypt as well. So we already sent it 3 containers from the Turkey. Each container got 1,000 Russian parcel for at least 5 family members. So approximately 30,000 people Russian stuff we have sent it from Turkey in 3 containers. We already fed about 41,000 people hot meal inside in Gaza so far now, and this time because of the winter stuff, so over 2,000 people winter stuff we have already sent it from Egypt as well, and they just arrived on the Rafah border just today. We have a confirmation as well.
And you were clearly a very, very busy man travelling the globe. What's next for you?
We still, because we don't leave just on the one trip, to continue every week. We are sending from Turkey, we are sending from Egypt as well. And then definitely just 2 days ago is a problem in Tanzania and the Western African countries. We heard the cyclone and the flooding starting over there. So we are preparing ourselves to help these people.
Saeed, I wish you well. Thanks for talking to us.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Pupils from a Wolverhampton school, which specialises in supporting autistic children, have just recorded their 100th podcast. Youngsters from Tettenhall Wood School set up their TWS Sports podcast in 2020 during lockdown, and they've interviewed 100 famous sports men and women. Wolves legend Steve Bull was their latest guest. Laura May McMullen went to meet them.
I know it's a lot of money in your eyes, £64,000 for 2 players.
It's not every day you get to interview a sporting legend, but that's exactly what pupils from Tettenhall Wood Special School in Wolverhampton have been doing for the last 3 years.
Now you're probably looking at 64 million, and if it was million...
Why people pay that so much for a bunch of...
You know what? See, cut the camera, cut it off, cut it off.
Here at the Molyneux ground, Steve Bull, who scored more than 300 goals for Wolves, is their 100th guest.
This has been a grilling for an hour and a half, you know what I mean? It's absolutely unbelievable, but it's been a beautiful grilling, you know what I mean? And they've done the homework, you know what I mean? They've got all the questions, and then they're going to take this back and hopefully influence all the other kids at school.
Their TWS Sports podcast started during lockdown, and the aim was to boost the confidence and communication skills of autistic students.
Back when I was like young, like 6 or something, I wasn't that much of a talkative person. I was a bit more of the quiet person.
Before I joined the podcast, I wasn't the most social of people. As you can plainly see, I tend to wing it every now and then. As basically knowing when to use her intuition and when to stick to the script.
Now, 3 years on, they've interviewed some very famous people, including Paddy McGuinness, who has autistic children himself, and also former England manager Sam Allardyce.
Did you ever sign a player and then regret it?
I like the way you put that question.
We wanted to provide different opportunity away from kind of your normal curriculum, normal lessons that would develop our students' communication skills. So to speak to all these amazing guests and to continue going 3 years later is an incredible achievement.
They say by having high ambitions, they've been able to draw in the guests. And Steve has already offered to do their 200th podcast. Laura May McMullen, BBC Midlands Today, Wolverhampton.
And there's a new page on the BBC News website with more on this and lots of other Wolverhampton stories. Just go to bbc.co.uk/Wolverhampton. And if you live in the city, you can also get stories from Wolverhampton on the BBC News app. Now, you've got to hear this. More than £40,000 has been raised for a Black Country man who revealed on an ITV game show that he's been diagnosed with motor neurone disease. 29-year-old Brad Whale from Wordsley appeared on Deal or No Deal last week, but only managed to win £5. A fellow competitor was so moved by his story, she set up a fundraising page to help him fulfil his bucket list. He says he wants to travel and he's filled with gratitude.
I am just, honestly, I would never be able to put into words how much it means to me and how grateful I am. Like, I think on Friday I woke up to like 1,500 messages. Saturday I woke up to 2,500. Sunday I woke up to 3,000. Yesterday I woke up to like, I think it was 1,200. And I genuinely am going to try and get back to every single one of them because I really want to show how much it means.
Yeah, I bet. Good on you, Brad. Now, a 24-hour challenge is well underway near Tewkesbury to decorate, wrap and pack nearly 2,500 Christmas cakes. It's part of an annual charity event called Hamper Scamper, with the sweet treats given to people facing homelessness, family breakdowns and isolation. It's run by Caring for Communities and People, which says this year is likely to be their most demanding yet.
We made all the Christmas cakes throughout November, and this final 24-hour challenge is to literally ice, pack, wrap, label and pack into crates and load into the van. What we hope is that it's going to bring a little bit of happiness to, you know, people who are struggling this Christmas, who are struggling to even afford the basics, heating and food and things. So we want to just hopefully give them a little touch of luxury for Christmas.
How good is that? Now, the creator of a woodland bike park for young people in Worcestershire has been named as the BBC Sports Personality of the Year, Unsung Hero for the West Midlands. Hannah Escott, who runs a cycling charity, was approached in 2020 to take over the land near Stourport. It had been used by generations of local youngsters, but faced the threat of being bulldozed. Hannah now runs the park with a team of volunteers. Nick Clitheroe reports.
It may be a freezing morning in Stourport, but that hasn't slowed them down on the trails at Burlish Bike Park. When it opened in July, they were hoping for 1,000 riders in the first year. They've had more than 2,500 already.
Bulldoze it and nobody could ride a bike in here again.
Kids had been building their own dirt jumps in these woods for 30 years, but now that was under threat. Hannah made sure they were involved in the process of creating the bike park, but the financial and bureaucratic hurdles were massive. 3 years later, the final result has surpassed everyone's expectations, and they're all agreed who to thank for that.
I think she's created such a great place for any age. Is absolutely fantastic. You can come here on a balance bike and roll through the jumps, or you can come here at like elite level and do pro jumps with gaps. I think it's an incredible place she's built.
She makes everyone smile. It's amazing, really. What we've learnt to do on it since it's been changed.
It's always positive here. Like, you come in, you could be having, I don't know, like a down day, you just come in and see Hannah. She brightens everyone up. She's so happy.
She's made my boys' dreams come true. She's taken on a piece of woodland that was going to be taken away from my boys and made it into their dream bike park, and has made them allowed to share it with all their friends as well. It's a place where people can just hang out, enjoy cycling. If they don't enjoy cycling, still hang out and get on with people, and brought a sense of community to the area.
Isaac and Felix have both won British junior or youth titles with Hannah's support and guidance. She's a former 4-cross World Series champion herself. But this is about giving riders of all abilities a chance, and she runs a session for true beginners as well.
Oh, brilliant, Theo!
Kids come from as far away as Wolverhampton and Malvern, and Hannah's kept junior membership as low as possible. Day passes are cut price too. The local police officers say the park has helped keep kids off the street and reduce crime, but there are still ambitious future plans.
We really want to make it a mental health and wellbeing location as well. So we've got ambitions to not just be a bike park, but be a location for other projects to take a stand as well and use the woodland to its full benefit. And we'd love to grow the membership further and get more people to come and enjoy it as well. I'd love another trail, but that's a whole other planning permission process to go through.
All of which explains why Hannah Escott is a very worthy winner of the award as BBC Sports Personality of the Year Unsung Hero for the West Midlands. Nick Clitheroe, BBC Midlands Today, Starport on 7.
Yeah, well done, Hannah. It's a pity, really. They'd finished filming by the time I got there with my bike. Well, it looked mighty cold at Molyneux earlier, didn't it? I wonder how it's looking for tomorrow, Shefali.
Oh, tomorrow's a tad colder, actually, Nick. But then after that, it becomes milder. Fortunately, you have to take the smooth with the rough because we've got more rain on the way. And we don't need it, really, seeing as we've got a number of flood warnings in place across the region at the moment and numerous flood alerts. We had about 1 inch to 1.5 inches of rain over a period of 24 hours ending yesterday evening. But you can see that we had something a little bit brighter through the afternoon. We started off on a grotty note. A little bit of mist and lots of rain this morning, but it did brighten up, and that is due to a skinny ridge of high pressure that's starting to build right now. But this, in a nutshell, is how it's looking. Well, we missed it, but in a nutshell, it's looking like this for the next few days. 3 little words: it's going to be wetter, milder, and wet. Wetter, milder and windier, beg your pardon. But this is the cold air that's currently across us. This is the area of low pressure that's going to be driving in all these systems from the Atlantic, and it's bringing in that milder air with it. So we're going to see a change in wind direction from the easterly, northeasterly that we currently have to something that's milder, and from the southwest and the south. So through tonight, the cloud is going to melt away initially. We'll probably get a bit more starting to bubble up later on in the night, but it's largely clear, and with that our temperatures falling away to -1, -2 Celsius, giving a widespread frost. But we could also see some mist and fairly dense fog patches into the morning tomorrow, which is going to pin those temperatures back. That fog should lift and disperse through the morning, but if it lingers in places, then those temperatures are really going to start to struggle. But we're looking at highs of about 2 to 5 Celsius. Today we saw highs of about 6 Celsius, so you can see it is fractionally colder. But from that, we start to see those systems moving in from the west, in fact, as early as tomorrow evening. So it's going to be wet, it's going to be cloudy, keeping those temperatures above freezing, and, as I say, milder towards the end of the week. Temperatures to above average for the time of year.
Thanks, Shefali. Tomorrow, we'll be visiting a faith community once considered to be a sect within Sikhism, which is preparing to build a new temple in Wolverhampton more than 60 years after their followers arrived in the city. Wolverhampton is home to the UK's first Ravadasya community, which has expanded significantly in recent years. David Lum's here at 10:30, the late update. Have a good evening from all of us here. Bye for now.
Welcome to Hampden Park for Scotland against England. The European champions need a